Welcome back to the Constant Pivot podcast, folks. Today we have Horizon Point Inspections here. We have Chris and Carl. Guys, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
So while we're getting right into this, can you just give me a little bit of the background into the industry for you guys?
I guess I'll start because I kind of started the whole thing in 2012. I was a full-time firefighter. Kind of bored on my days off, so I started doing home inspections. My wife actually recommended I do it, and so I started looking into it. I'm like, yeah. And, you know, you got to get in crawl spaces and stuff. And I'm like, no, I don't like snakes. So I kind of like, nah, maybe I won't do this. But the more I looked into it, I'm like, it'd be a good part-time job to do on my days off in the firehouse. And kind of like your guys' business, you get started and it's like, oh my gosh, I got to hire somebody. It was so busy. I was doing 2 inspections a day, and then I was back at the firehouse for 24 hours, 2 inspections a day, and I was just burnt really bad. So hired Carl, and since then we've grown to a team of 7 now total. Yeah, so within...
It's impressive.
Within like, I'd say 8 years after I started, I left the fire service. I had 5 years left until I could retire with a full pension. I decided just to go ahead and take a leap and leave early and run the business. And since then, that's right when COVID hit. Everyone started waiving inspections, and we're like, what are we going to do? But we got through it. We were consistent, persistent.
That's probably the only sector of the industry that was not benefited by the boom of the COVID market.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's terrible.
Not only that, but from the agent side of things, people were waiving inspections, and when they did do inspections, it was inspections for buyer's knowledge only.
In my opinion.
So you didn't even have any negotiating ability from the data that they were giving you.
Yeah, we did a lot where people would already move into their house and then come back to us and get that inspection. Which
after.
I would go into those inspections like, please tell me I'm not going to find like something that would have been a deal breaker for
absolutely.
them.
For sure.
Thankfully, I mean, knock on wood, we were good, but that was always nerve-wracking.
I mean, we were crazy busy when COVID first hit, when interest rates dropped dramatically. But when they dropped, and the buyers started coming out the woodwork, and then that's when the inspections started getting waived because, I mean, you tell me you guys hit 30 offers on a house,
right?
And it's like, we're not getting them. So, but we were persistent and stuck with it, and we're still here today.
Good. Yeah. So, getting right at Carl, can you give us your background? How you?
Actually, so I right out of high school, I knew that. Well, I was signed up to go do a firefighter course at Cincinnati State. Then maybe kind of get the ball rolling there. And when I got my first course list, it was stuff like intro to algebra, nutrition class, and all this stuff. And I looked at it and I was like, I do not want to do this. I don't want to sit down. So I kind of put that aside and I started working for KBR, which is Kitchens by Root and Shore, just to get a little experience. I'd always been handy around the house, but wanted to, we would like remodel kitchens, install cabinetry, countertops, sinks, all that. So it was more like kind of like an intro to construction and a little background there. And I remember after a year of that, I was moving granite countertops for a year at 18, and I'd wake up and have to pop like 4 ibuprofen because my back was hurting so bad. And Chris, around, I think it was Thanksgiving, at the Thanksgiving table, he was like, how's countertops going? And I was like, dude, I need to find something else. He was like, well, why don't you come see how I do the inspection? And I got there, it was 2-3 hours talking to the client, writing a report, new house every day, new client every day. Sometimes 2 new houses, 2 new clients, depending on how busy. And I liked that. And I liked pointing out other people's problems and not having to think of how to fix it. Sometimes you know exactly like, oh, that's all you got to do is this. And other times you're like, I don't even know where to start with something like this. So I like that aspect of it too.
So going back to what we were talking about a little bit off camera.
Yeah, so, before we had to redo the intro because our nerd didn't start his phone.
All right. They won't know the difference. So we were talking about like verbiage in the reports. You obviously might not know necessarily how to fix it, but you know there's a problem. What's the biggest thing when writing those reports that basically maybe a first-time home buyer might get terrified of a report. How do you differentiate if you know something's a big thing versus something's a small thing? Did you guys have a system in place?
And we have a couple different systems in place. I think our biggest one would probably be within our software. We color code issues. So you might have something that is, our red is our biggest item.
Yep.
That's going to be our
That's
immediate
full
concern.
stop.
Totally. Yeah.
Yep.
Like, okay, this is a safety hazard or high cost. There might be something that's really easy to fix, but it's a red item.
Yeah.
And so we try and color code it, but I think the verbiage in the report does a great job, but we really want to talk to our clients face to face if we can, or over the phone, because there's so many times where I do the review to, like I go over it with just the father-in-law can be there, or one of the family members.
Killer.
God, you ain't kidding. So I'll discuss it, and then I'll get a call later like, you said this settlement crack is a big deal. I'm like, no, I said the opposite. And so I hate when it kind of gets like trickled, like the game of telephone, where by the time it reaches the buyer, it's a whole new.
And honestly, I'm not just saying this to say it. Like, I don't get terrified by inspectors. If it's a bad inspection, we shouldn't be buying the house.
Yeah,
like
some houses are bad, some houses are good. Yeah.
I would say too, we pretty much know how to fix everything we find. We can explain it to them, right? We don't want to do it because some of it's really big stuff, right? But even like a red item, like an ungrounded CSST gas line. It's red because of what could happen if you don't bond it and ground it back to the panel, right? Your whole house could blow up. And they're like, oh. I'm like, listen, it's a clamp that goes on this pipe. They run this number 6 copper wire, your panel, it's done. And so it's an easy fix when we make it red. Sometimes I change it to orange. I'm like, this is ridiculous. But the thing is, the difference I think is when the clients are at the inspection and we can explain that to them
and show them
seeing red. That prevents the phone calls. That makes your guys' life a lot easier.
Absolutely.
Too. I mean,
it does. So when you're talking about the colors, you say red and orange. I explained it to my clients. I say, hey, this report's going to come over, and it's going to be color coded just like a stoplight. Red is full stop. Pull up there and you better stop. Yellow is, hey, this could be a full stop item depending on who you are. If it's somebody that's not handy whatsoever, yellow could absolutely kill a deal. Orange is what you call it, but it looks kind of yellow on me. We have probably a dozen inspectors that use the same program, and I love that.
Spectora?
It's fantastic. It's fantastic whenever you're putting together a post-inspection addendum, because you can use the report builder up there. And it's fantastic.
And you can send it right from your, you can sit on a Zoom call with a client from California. And you can pick what you want and you can send the addendum to them.
So then once you get past the red and the yellow, the next one would be green. In this case, it ends up being blue. But I explained to them that's just your maintenance items, your everyday things. And oftentimes that's just the inspector telling you how to take care of your home, so I tell them you're going to get this report that's going to be 40 to 70 pages long, and that's basically an owner's manual for your used house. And that product that is more valuable than us pushing back and forth on an inspection, negotiating the deal, because that's what's going to stick with them for the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years on being able to maintain their home.
Because realistically, you can only negotiate like what 5 to 10% of the list that we're active.
It depends. It depends. I've seen times Cincinnati. We changed the rule here. You used to be able to just say, hey, we found some stuff on the inspection. We want to walk away from the deal. And the listing agent or the sellers would say, hey, we don't want that inspection, because then they're liable to disclose the items. So they didn't want them. And then what happened was people were using that tactic to get out of deals. Like, oh, we don't want to see it. There was stuff that came up on inspections. When the house was mint, there was nothing wrong with the house. And so Cincinnati changed the verbiage in the contract a few years back and said, hey, you have to at least present them the opportunity to make corrections. So your report tool allows you to create individual pages on whatever the item is, instead of sending somebody the entire inspection report. So so the Spectora, is that? That report, one of the inspectors that I've probably used the most over the years, he uses that program, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. It's easy for us on site. It's easy for clients.
You can put credits in if they don't want it fixed, just credits or
And I wonder how many agents know they can do that.
Nobody.
Nobody.
I get people breaking down the PDF, sending me the full page, and versus not build the report, select
And
it.
then your sellers can, when they send it to them, they're like, "Where is that?" And it sends the picture, our pictures, our
Yeah.
verbiage too,
Absolutely.
and it makes it so much easier.
Because then
Oh,
it
it's
explains the
fantastic.
problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. So then you get to your point, you get a defect notice or a post-inspection addendum and you see 10 items on it. You can only send those 10 items. So it's not lost in the sauce and convoluted by a bunch of unnecessary
Yeah, it doesn't
stuff.
muck it
Right.
all up.
Yeah.
Right,
Very
Yeah.
direct.
One thing that Carl and I have tried to start doing, and we're teaching our newest inspector the same thing. It's like when you got a list of, let's say, 5 red items, 2 of those are big red items, right? Maybe you got a couple things in the orange. We try to, we've been doing this long enough where we really don't go through the whole thing. We say, okay, you got some stuff over here, maybe some doorknobs loose, whatever it is. We got to tell them.
DIY stuff, yeah.
But here's your big stuff, right? Here's your
Yeah.
horizontal crack you got here. You got a Federal Pacific panel, and you got flashing that's got exposed. You're going to get water leak. Those are your 3 big things that you probably want to sit down with your agent and talk about.
Yeah.
Other stuff, you guys can look at it, but in our subjective opinion, these are your 3 big ones right here.
That's the thing you should target. I like that. I mean, very few. I've had several inspectors do my listings, and I get an inspection report. There's no pictures.
That's
There's a
insane.
very vague explanation of how they should fix it or what the problem
The
is.
handrail is loose.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you guys want the client at the inspection? Like, how do you want them there?
For the
I agree.
review.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The actual client, not the deal-killing father-in-law,
Yeah, not the clip and
parents,
tape measure with a
worry work
level in his hand,
grandfather
yeah.
that was a contractor. in
You
the
might have to
1960s.
edit this, but we actually like them there because we have a good stories afterwards.
Yeah. No, I get,
And we send pictures of the dad doing the inspection to each other on our group
that's
chat.
hilarious.
Sorry to edit that out, but
I had a client the other day. I've actually got one client. His dad is a full-blown contractor, built houses for years. I love having him at the showings.
Yeah.
I've been in construction for part of my life. I understand what I'm looking at, but to the very specific point of code, I might not know everything, but he's
Right.
very, very good at it. Don't mind having him there.
Yeah.
I've got one that every time we walk in, and I know for a fact nothing's wrong with this house in the sense of the roof's a year old and drip edge is brand new. He walked in and said, "There's no drip edge in the house. Let's just leave."
yeah, that's not good.
I'm just like, no.
That's not a reason to kill
No,
a deal.
We could put that on pretty easily.
Yeah.
Right.
It's maybe a couple $100,
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
500 at
Seriously.
most.
Yeah, and there's different things about drip edge too, because we've run into that with builders, like it's not required, and I'm seeing more builders put the drip edge on the rake and the
Yep.
gutter
Yeah.
line. Different municipalities, different areas require it, some don't. So we don't really call it out unless it's like there's a problem or it's a newer
Yeah.
construction or something, because it's not a code inspection, right? And everywhere it's different. So we might say out here, like, hey, you're missing drip edge on your gutters, and they're like, we don't require it out
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
and the builder doesn't do it. So I mean, yeah, it's.
Speaking of new builds, do you recommend everybody get a new build inspection?
I think it's good for peace of mind. There's a builder out there. I'm not gonna name them. They're actually doing a lot better.
Yeah.
I mean, it's homes.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done probably 10 new build inspections for them, and I have not had any problems with them.
Good.
Yeah.
They've really improved their. Stuff that we were seeing not done before, they're doing it. They're doing it now. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty impressed with that. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of builders, right? And I think it's a good idea because we're not doing the blue tape inspection that you see.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
that stuff. But we're definitely making sure the systems are running, everything's correctly put in. And
Do
any
you
kind of knockout
recommend a
stuff.
phase inspection or just a post build inspection?
I think if I was building a house, I would do a phase inspection.
Yeah. You want it pre-drywall.
Yes. Yeah.
So phase inspection just for everybody.
Foundation, pre-drywall, every portion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a phase inspection for everybody out there. Phase inspection, just different stages in the home building process. They would come out and inspect that step. When the next phase is complete, they would come out and finish that step, so on until the house is complete.
Very tedious, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's how you get the best product.
You're definitely going to pay more for a phase inspection, but it's, in my opinion, it's worth every penny extra.
Yeah.
So to your point, when you talk about fish are getting better at it, and most of the times you're getting clean inspection over and over and
Yeah.
over. So we have even seen some things here recently, and my brother, who's my business partner, he helps run the team. He was a builder for NVR, for Ryan Holmes, for a number of years. For NVR, for Pulte Group, for Stanley Martin, a few big-time builders. And he had always said to me, once 2006, 7, and 8 hit, and the market, the housing market fell off of a cliff, that builders had to learn how to build a better home. So they started building a more efficient home, a much better insulated home, and you have the air tests and stuff like that. And recently, we've been going around and looking at some new construction, and we've seen some things where builders, it pops up on every inspection, kick out flashing, or the gutters from the second floor down to the first floor gutters. Usually they just let it run right down the shingles, and you're starting to see all of those little things. That's becoming the standard now.
Yeah.
And every big box builder is doing it that way now. To your point, doing a fantastic job building a great home, and even some of the other builders, even at lesser price points, in that $250,000 to $300,000, like a DR Horton, they're building a fantastic home for the price point.
Yeah.
Especially compared to pre-2006, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
The homes that are being built right now are fantastic.
Yeah.
So are you seeing that? Can you pinpoint a specific era and time when, hey, this home, because of the age, I'm not going to see this?
I just noticed it in the last year with. I mean, like, as far as them doing a better job on getting things done, like kick out flashing.
Yeah.
And they're actually putting in the drip edge flashing and the rake flashing. They weren't doing that before.
Sorry, my dogs are going bonkers.
But no, there's no like specific time where I saw something dramatically change. Like, but because I wasn't in it when it crashed.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing it. I didn't start till 2012.
Yeah.
So no, there's nothing within the last years when I started seeing do a lot better job.
Yeah. So when Jaden scheduled this, obviously, and when he said this, I said, all right, home inspectors, what kind of questions would I want to ask? And just to spice things up, what's the funniest crap you've ever seen in a home inspection?
The funniest?
Yeah.
Or wildest. I mean, what's your craziest story in a home inspection?
If you had a brand new intern that you're dragging around from you to job site to job site to job site inspections, and you want to share anecdotes or funny stories, what's the funniest thing you've seen?
I think there's too much. I can't remember it all.
Right.
Like,
One joke that I like to play on, and this could be the other inspector with me, the homeowner, the agent that's there. Whenever they flick a switch and a light bulb doesn't come on because the bulb's burn out, I always tell them it's one of those clappers from the 90s.
That's awesome.
Just to see if they clap and test it. And so whenever I get someone with a clap, I always feel good on the inside.
That's awesome.
The craziest story I've ever had was I was doing a multifamily in Norwood, and it was a triplex, all the units stacked on top of each other, and the third unit was a converted attic, so of course it had, really tight ceilings, vaulted ceilings, everything just finished. They had a water heater up there, and it didn't have a vent coming off of it, just a water heater, no vent. And I was like, okay, so this is a recycled water heater, this is not active, because all these people would be dead from carbon monoxide if this was going on. And I go up to it and I put my hand over the top and it's like 300 degrees. I have to immediately pull my hand back. I go down, look at the burner, and it's on. And
people are living in this house?
People are living in this house, and the only thing keeping them alive is they're heavy smokers. So they've got the front room window open and the back room open, and the air is
creating a constant draft
blowing through. I was like, if they ever quit cigarettes, they're gonna die.
Wow.
Yeah. So they
what's going to get them first?
Yeah.
Wow.
The CO or the nicotine?
Yeah.
The other day, I just did a post on this the other day on a crawl space. It was a crawl space that wasn't the whole house. It was like a basement. They did an addition, so there was a little crawl space access. And I took the panel off, and there was a chair and a light post, and that's it. I'm like, what is this? Like, is this?
That's actually.
When they just respond like creepy timeout area. I was like, this is really freaky. But I mean, to send a new person, like, coming out of the attic space and on the shelves, adult toys and just
Oh yeah, I'm sure you see some crazy stuff.
And then there's some places you go, and then usually people clean their house up for the home inspection. There's areas of town you go to, they don't care. There are laundries everywhere, underwears everywhere, dogs are peeing everywhere. It's just like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
So it's amazing when you really, and I'm very grateful for what I have in my life and everything, my house, my family, because you go in some of these houses, it's really depressing. What people are doing. You're really thankful.
When I got into the industry, I was like, every house I pass, the outside doesn't really look that bad. And after showing a lot of these homes, I'm very fortunate to have what I have, just because.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Especially in our area specifically, like high poverty rate, which nothing wrong, but I mean,
it's less than affluent.
The houses we go in, I'm like, wow, somebody's living in this.
Yeah, I can almost do an inspection now on a house, and it's kind of semi-empty, and I know it's a divorce situation.
Oh, you can tell.
That's actually kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, okay, yeah.
I use the garage test. This is something that I tell every brand new buyer I've got. So this is not something sexist, misogynist, or anything. But when you go into a house, the first place I go straight to the garage, because if you show up to the garage and it's completely drywalled in, painted, very meticulously kept, the tools all have a place, you know, and everything is just spotless, you know, the floor is epoxied, and you could do surgery in that garage. Typically, that's reflective of the maintenance of the home, because whoever takes care of the home, I don't care if it's husband or wife, I've seen both situations, wife or wife, husband, whatever. It doesn't matter the situation. Whomever's doing the maintenance on that house, they keep their tools in the garage. And if the garage is a disaster, that's usually going to be the maintenance of the house. So I go to the garage and see, and it's buttoned up, and then I'm like, all right, let's go check out the house.
Yeah.
You know, because I know it's going to sell itself. If I go in there and it's an absolute, you can bleep this.
I was just thinking, don't go in our garage.
She's right. We've been remodeling for about 2 years now, and it's a nonstop. Yeah, I'm not trying to
We
sell
don't
my
park our
house.
cars in our garage, we'll just say.
Touche.
Sorry. I had to say.
That's her way of kicking me that the garage looks like shit.
Publicly.
It's funny you say that, because I did an inspection a couple months ago, and coming out of the attic space, I knocked the trim off the attic. I'm like, crap! I have no nails. I have no hammer. How am I gonna get this back on here? And we didn't want to come back out and do it. I remember the guy's garage was like his tools, his DeWalt nailers, I'm like, I'm gonna go borrow his nail. I went out there, battery powered braid nailer, grabbed that thing, put that thing back on, set it on there. It was the best. But it was perfectly, everything was lined perfect. The DeWalt saws, the DeWalt drills, everything. I'm like, I could build a house with all these tools.
Yeah.
So I borrowed it and fixed his trim on his attic access for him.
That's awesome.
And there's cameras. I'm sure he saw me doing it. But that's another thing today. Like, cameras are everywhere.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, they can hear you talking.
Being filmed.
Well, and I think the biggest thing too is most people would just leave it and not even say a word. So I mean, at least you took the initiative to fix it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Or call and be like, sorry.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Take care of that.
Yeah. But it was out in it was up in North Monroe. I didn't want to drive back out there the next day.
Yeah.
And do
So
it.
where is your guys' main? So everybody out there watching knows, where do you guys operate? Where do you like to operate?
Let's hear your plug.
We go, I've been down past Alexandria. How far are we going into Kentucky?
I mean,
I've gone an hour into Kentucky past the river,
hour.
and I've gone an hour north. So,
I've gone to Manchester. It was for an agent that needed us, couldn't find anybody out there. But
For you guys, that's probably a haul.
it was an hour and
That's
a
a
half.
haul for us, and we're halfway between you.
I would say east Mount Orb is that's probably where we want to go, and then probably down this way for Hammersville, up Pierce Township, Amelia, all the way to the west side, all the way to Dayton, and then South Kentucky, really. And there's 3 of us, but sometimes it's hard if we got to come all the way out here, and Morgan won't schedule us for a second inspection unless it's in this area somewhere.
Yeah.
You can't get to Dayton in that amount of time. To get
No,
done.
from here it's an hour and 30, hour and 45, depending on where you're going in Dayton. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
How long does a typical home inspection take?
3.
Just a routine one.
I'd say an average of 3. Now, a lot of factors go into it. If you got a slab and we're not getting into a crawl space or basement, you can imagine probably about 2 hours for that. If you then do a condo to where we're doing about a portion of the exterior, just what would affect the inside of that condo, we're not going to do the whole outside, because the neighbor all the way on the right is not going to affect you. We'll just do the brick right outside their windows and that vinyl. I've been kind of averaging about an hour and a half, 2 hours for those. Then if the client gets there, we book out 3 hours. So if the client wants to get there and measure and have a conversation, it's their time too.
Crawl spaces, I see. That's a most homeowners have never even looked in their crawl space.
No, they don't.
Yeah, you can tell.
So when you've got a lot of water underneath the crawl space, if it's not an active leak, where do you start? Is it the grading, the first thing, or where's the first step?
If you have a crawl space and if your downspouts are going underground with a crawl space, usually I see just seepage on that masonry block.
Yeah.
I always think it's a good idea maybe get those out of the ground, get them on top of the surface, send them away, and then just build up the grading, clean out your gutters, slope them correctly. I'd say about 90% of that moisture we see comes from that gutters, downspouts, and grading.
Microvapor barrier.
Yeah. The other 10% is potential spring water, but if you've got a crawl space foundation, then there's already been some calculations that should prevent.
Yeah, so to your point, you were talking about, a lot of the builders are building great homes now, but that wasn't always the case, and you're probably seeing this in your home inspections. In our area, and I would say Brown, Adams, Highland, Clinton, Claremont County, I would say probably, to put a number on it, 60 to 70% of homes have water issue.
Because they were graded wrong.
Yep.
From the ground.
Graded wrong. Like the home was just set too low in the ground, and then they couldn't get the proper natural grade on it. They couldn't get downspouts daylighted out away from the house, 10 feet away. They didn't put a curtain drain around the house. When it was needed, they didn't put a sump pump there. It's probably the most overwhelming issue in our area. And that's the one thing we constantly harp on our team about, and just constant training.
Are you trying to look out for them and not sell?
Not necessarily not sell it, but when you're showing a client that house, I've gotten so versed on it that I can just look in a crawl space and say, yep, there's moisture there. I figured that. You're probably going to need a curtain drain. And, I'm stepping way out of my lane because I see it so dang much. Hey, call this company. It's fine. You can go ahead and close here, get your home inspection, make sure that there's not some greater issue here, but we've got water issues here.
Yeah.
And when you take ownership of this home, you need to address it right then.
I don't think you're ever stepping your boundaries. I think that's great. You're letting your clients know about that.
I think the biggest thing is we acknowledge the problem, see it, just give them solutions, but then we rely on home inspectors.
Yeah, but as a team, if we were to show, say, 100 homes, we probably ruin exponentially more deals than the average agent, because we are pointing those things out ahead of time and saying, hey, you got a little problem here. But then we're not wasting their time to write an offer on a house that they're not going to be able to manage.
Yeah, or their money on a home inspection, right? It's not even worth it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate that so much. That's kind of how we've built such a solid foundation, is more word of mouth. Just doing a good job, taking the time to explain it to people. Give me a call. Let's talk about this. I can't tell you how many people I've walked off a ledge listen, this can be fixed, and it might not even be on your dime.
I so wish Mark was here. So Mark is Chris runs the day-to-day on the sales side. Obviously the girls do the transaction stuff, but Mark goes behind and fixes everything that the inspector, on our listings, if we have a defect notice and stuff's got to be fixed, it's Mark. Mark was a new home builder for years.
He's kind of our in-house contractor.
Pretty much.
He's not an agent?
He is an agent, but he doesn't actively.
He's also a builder.
Okay.
He's built hundreds of homes.
Yes.
Yeah. But he goes behind and fixes them. If he's at a showing with me, he sometimes tags along just to tag along. Yeah. He can literally point out half the stuff that's going to pop up on a home inspection, and he's already working on it. He just bought a track hoe 6 months ago, so he could start putting in French drains around houses that have water seepage issues.
Yeah, anytime you got water in a crawl space, just tell your clients there's going to be mold.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and just get ready to mitigate it.
Yeah,
exactly.
You get rid of the water, the moisture, you get rid of the mold.
Yeah, but then you go the other way, and you see a little bit of moisture, and you have people that are just so alarmist about it, and you say, hey, call some contractors, and they call the wrong contractor.
Full-on mitigation,
full-on mold mitigation, encapsulation, new sump pump, new drainage tile under the house, and all of a sudden they get smacked with a $27,000 bill for something that you're like, you could probably call a different contractor and get that done for $5,000, $6,000, and sometimes, having a good home inspector there, or a good contractor on speed dial that can mitigate those situations. I've probably seen that 20 times in the last 2 years, where they see moisture in the crawl space, go get a bid from XYZ company, and it's $32,000.
Yeah, and it's like,
and you're like, that's not even real.
Yeah. Why is the water there in the first place? I think for us, when we start on the outside, so we start the roof and we do the exterior and the grounds. And when you get in the crawl space last, you're able to look back, like the grade was low there, the gutter downspout was directed right at the corner of the house, and you get in there, there's water right there, and you right in that corner where the downspout was
And it
directed
makes
away.
sense.
Well, that's why you got water. You fix this, you fix your problem. Versus that house they built in a swale.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, this is a bigger problem. It's going to cost a lot of money, maybe. But
Yeah.
like trying to figure out. I think in our industry, at least, now that Ohio's licensed, it's a little bit better. But the training before was terrible. And it's like, they teach you to say, okay, check the basement for water. I see water, check. You got water in your basement. It's like, well, what's causing this water in the basement? What's causing this horizontal crack? And I feel like we can explain someone, help someone off a cliff a little bit and not let them get so scared when we got horizontal cracks and like it's not moving yet. Right? It's just a horizontal crack and what they can do for it. So
half the time you get it with a structural engineer, that report says watch it, keep an eye on it. So watching it and keeping an eye on it.
Especially you see it a lot on block foundations. It's going to crack.
It's going to move. It's like putting a bunch of Legos together. You can flex it, you can move it around.
That's funny you say this. So my first year in real estate, I have this family. I've sold them about 430 houses. But the very first house they bought, not literally, but they are fantastic people. And if they're listening, love you guys. But I've sold the family a lot of houses, and I just randomly they'll call me on a Tuesday. Hey, show me this house, and I'm like, you just bought a house. Like, what are you doing? But they bought this house. And it was a 1950s home. It was a block foundation, and the walls were bowed like 28 degrees. When you put a level up to it, there was 3 inches on the side ends of a 4-foot level, and the walls were just so bowed. And I was like, that's a deal killer. And they were like, well, let's call a structural engineer. And I was like, why are you wasting your money on this place? Is about to fall in. Okay. And so we called the structural engineer, and he said, hey, it's going to be fine. Just get the hydrostatic pressure out from the wall. Put a curtain train around this, get the water away from the house, put a good grade on it. These walls will straighten right up. And I'm like, what? I've never.
They moved backwards.
They did.
They did?
So they did everything that the structural engineer told them. They put a curtain drain, they put a sump pump, an exterior sump pump, they got the water away, they put a great grade on the house. And 2 years later, they called Mark and I and said, hey, come out and list our house. And I'm telling Mark the whole way there, like, hey, this basement is a disaster. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, no, they should have put steel I-beams in this thing. Like, it's the worst basement I've seen since I've been in real estate. I can't believe these people bought the house. And I was just perplexed. And we walked down there, and the walls had straightened up. It had done everything that the structural engineer said it was going to do. And I was like,
that's insane. I figured
I stand correct.
I've never seen it move backwards either, but
like it was a block foundation, and those walls, when I went back down there, they were a little bit out, but they weren't like they were when they bought the house. I'm saying from top to bottom, there was probably 4 or 5 inches where that wall, the pressure from that water, and that structural engineer said, oh, these will straighten right up. And I was like, there's no damn way.
That's what I was thinking.
There's no way. I was a naysayer, a disbeliever. And again, that's right back to, I'll stay in my lane.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm always like, listen, just go with structural engineer. I can only tell you that it is bowing, and there is moisture coming through, so it can continue to get worse. But you can fix everything.
I think the biggest thing that we take for granted is after sitting here, I didn't really know you guys until today. Like, honestly, seeing a lot of inspectors out there, they don't use critical thinking. So they'll tell you there's a problem, and they have no clue how to fix it, where to go, what's even going on. They just say water in the crawl space.
It's a bell-shaped curve. I've seen some that don't know, and some that that have built 50 houses in their lifetime themselves. That
the experience speaks for themselves.
And we always like to do, like, the reason we want our clients there for the last little 30 minutes is so we can get that critical thinking without being like, hey, did you see this? Did you see that? Because I can almost solve 90% of your problems just by letting you know, like, okay, that moisture's coming in your basement because your downspout elbow's disconnected and the ground's low right there. Fix that and the water stops overnight. Or, any sort of analogy with that, you can't get that until you've put everything together, until you complete the outside inspection, the inside, and you're like, oh, that's right where that gutter was overflowing. So it makes sense why this water.
So that bedside manner, that's how I refer to it, you know, that bedside manner when you're sitting there with your clients. When you first start out as a home inspector, I'm sure you were like, hey, this is a problem, and you got smacked, like, oh, I was a little too alarmist. You know, and then there's probably things where you didn't impress upon them enough and say, yeah, this is a problem, or maybe you felt like you minimized it. Over time, as a home inspector, you get better and you develop that bedside manner to where you can tell people when something's an issue versus killing a deal over it. You know, so what's your experience and development with the words that come out of your mouth?
One thing for me that when I first started, you know, I get on top of a roof, look at the chimney cap's cracked, right? I'm just seeing it all the time. The more I did, and then I would go over that with the client, like, hey, you got your chimney cap, the concrete part of the top of the chimney is cracked, needs to be fixed. And they're like, oh gosh, I don't want to pay for that. I'm like, well, listen, every other house on this street probably has the same exact problem. I see this all the time. So this isn't a deal killer whatsoever. You have to understand that concrete's going to crack, the freeze-thaw cycle, you're going to have this issue. Even if you get it fixed, you got to maintain it. So seeing the common things over the years, it's a lot easier to have that bedside manner. Like we see this all the time. It's a very common thing because they're, especially a first-time home buyer, they're like expecting nothing wrong with the house. And I would say on our reports, and you know, tell me if I'm wrong, maybe the average of 15 to 20 orange prioritized items and maybe 2 to 4 red is a good house. Probably a good house. If it's lower than that, it's a really good house, right? But seeing this stuff all the time, they see it for the first time in their new home, they're freaking out. So I think that helps you say, hey, this is something we see all the time, and we're calm about it.
And I'm not a pushy person. If I can't trust you, I'm not going to use you. So I'm usually calling all of my reputable people I work, my lenders, everybody, saying, what's the problem here? Is it that big of a deal? If it's that big of a deal, we're killing it. Like, they shouldn't even be buying the house in the first place. But it's you guys being able to articulate to the client and to me, like, I might not see it the same way you do. It's totally fine. That's why you're licensed and you took the class you did. I'm going to trust your opinion.
And a lot of times, too, you have to let them know, like, this house is from 1950s. This crack could be older than I've been on this earth. We do an infrared scan. We have $1,000 worth of moisture meters in our bags. Let me do some deeper diving. I can tell you, like, hey, that is leaking. You're going to want to either get a new cap or get it sealed up, or it's dry as a bone here. Maybe just preventative maintenance, maybe add it to the weekend warrior list of projects to have done or knock it out. But we also, one thing that I try and like make sure that our trainees and the inspectors know when they go out in the field is you can't talk to every buyer the same way. You go into someone who's a builder or has got a background in it and they bought 15 houses in their life. You can't be like, okay, so there's a little bit of damaged trim right here. This happens because water gets in the
right.
You got some damaged trim, you got this. But when you've got a single mom and she's on her own, that's when you spend a little bit more time like, okay, the caulk broke free at this trim, water just got in, it soaks up the end grains, and it's very common. You can either have it replaced right now, or if it starts becoming a bigger issue, have it done down the road. And that's why the software is great, because you can also print out that summary and you can X out the stuff that's taken care of, and if you ever, need something.
We tell all of our clients to print it out and just work on it. So, speaking of those reports, somebody who's getting ready to list their home obviously hasn't had an inspection. There's not many people around here that do a pre-inspection, but for like a client that's getting ready to list their home, what's the things they need to start checking off? Because I know one thing that pops up on every single inspection I've had in the last 6 months, and that's GFCIs. If the house hasn't been within 5 years, 90% of them aren't up to code. So what are some things they should be checking off their list before they list their house?
That's a great question. I think the first thing is big utility services. Like if you want to switch out that filter, get that blower fan for the furnace cleaned out, get the AC either insulation tuned up, check your refrigerant lines. With the water heater, if it has an expansion tank, either have it pumped back full of air or checked, or the water heater drained. From there, then it's, I'd say, just safety and little cosmetic stuff goes a long way too. It doesn't really show up on a home inspection, but I mean, I'm a home inspector. If I was doing a showing for my own house and there's giant holes in the drywall, I know it's not a big deal, but it's definitely a thing I have to do.
People have questions if there's bigger problems behind those holes.
It makes them start asking other questions, like, okay, if there's holes in the walls, is there holes in? Do I have damage in the attic space? Where's all the other hidden stuff if this is visible?
Yeah.
So how should buyers interpret when they give you the inspection? How should buyers interpret the findings so they don't get overwhelmed? Like taking a full approach, looking at it.
With us there? Or
Yeah, with
after
you
they
there.
get-
Yeah, I recommend even regardless. I always recommend a home inspection. I recommend you at least lay eyes on it or call them.
Yeah. I mean, I want you to hear it from me.
Yeah.
Yeah, hearing it from us and be able to talk them down off the ledge a little bit is the best way to interpret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if they're not going to be there and they're out of town, I would say when they get the report, they're going to freak out. So you better give them a call. And then if they need to call us and talk to us, we talk to people all the time on the phone.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's the best way to approach the inspection. Have them there at the end because we like them to see us doing the work. You know, we take a ton of pictures if they're either way they're there or not there. But when they're not there with our software, we can just hit a button and just snap pictures nonstop. And it's like, did you even inspect the house? We've had people call Morgan like, there's nothing wrong with this house. Did they even inspect it? She's like, go to the information page, and there's like 1,000 pictures of the house everywhere. So just when they're there and they see us working and they know we're there for 3 hours and we're dirty, and at the end we're going over stuff and the big items and I have to explain it to them, that's the best way.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people get overwhelmed by the number of items too. So I try and tell people, like, don't count. Like, that's 35 things.
I set those expectations with my buyers too. I tell
love
them
when
flat
agents do
out,
that.
hey, there's no such thing as a clean home inspection. If you get a clean home inspection,
have a bad
you
home
hired the
inspector.
wrong home inspector. You know, so.
Because you can take care of half, maybe 75% of that list with a trip to
absolutely.
Home Depot.
Well, not only that, but even a brand new home, if you inspect it versus XYZ company, you're going to get two different findings a little bit.
Yeah.
You know, some of it is just a matter of your interpretation of code versus someone else's. And like, for example, like a metal seam standing roof. Or some people say you should always screw on the flats. Some people say you should screw on the ridges. Depends on who you talk to. I've had professionals give me two completely differing opinions.
Yeah.
You know, so both are roofing professionals. One says do it this way and the other one says do it that way.
Yeah.
So some of it is just a matter of taste or how they were taught.
But it's no different than an electrician. We call out
completely.
double lug neutrals, and you'll get two
Yeah.
electricians. That's fine. That one, you got to change. It's like they can sit there all day and
Yeah.
debate the philosophy and all this stuff about electricity. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the single biggest thing that I see on home inspections that it's kind of laughable, but it's also the most preventable, and I'm as guilty of it as anybody else. Hot water heaters. You know, so I've seen some hot water heaters that I had one come back on a home inspection that was 38 years old, and it was still working great.
Was that one I did? I found one from 1978.
No kidding.
Working wonderful.
Working great.
Electrical, yep.
Usually the electric ones go a little bit longer with the dual heating elements.
Yeah.
They kind of split
Yeah.
the load.
Yeah,
versus
so
one
that
load.
was 48 years. That tops mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
What do you tell them? I mean,
It's
old.
I'd say
Just be ready for replacement. Like it's
But
working.
on every home inspection, on their
They never
Spectora
replace it.
report, it tells them, helpful hint, make sure to drain this thing once a year, get the sediment out of the bottom of the tank. And if they did that, they may have a 48-year-old.
Yeah.
It does prolong it. Our water, I don't know about, I'm
does.
sure Cincinnati's the same, but
Yeah, I
our
don't
water's
do it
so
either.
hard.
Oh, it's
Having
crazy.
drain it's a good idea, and changing the anno rod, the sacrificial rod that's in there, especially if you have soft water softener.
Yeah.
The salt will get in that tank and it'll eat that anno rod up faster than normal water will. So replacing that anno rod every 2 or 3 years will help
Gotcha.
prolong the life of the water heater if you have salt water softener.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah.
better when you go down to someone's basement and it's on the side of the water heater in Sharpie. It's like new rod 2019, new rod
Right.
2024.
Right.
And you're like, okay.
I have a
okay,
client.
understandable.
I have a client right now that handed me a book of every single maintenance item they've ever done.
We had
That's
a lady
incredible.
that did
I strive to
that.
be like that.
She was like 80 years old, and it was actually two ladies. No, they weren't that old, but their mom was that old, and she had kept a log since she owned the home of like 50, 60 years. Like every single time they changed out the toilet paper,
Paint
it was walked
codes.
in there. Yeah. And
That's great.
when I saw that, I thought, I'll bet they got a really good looking garage.
I hate you.
Poor guy. Yeah. Well, that's what we, the one thing, just to go back, just listening to you guys and how you handle reports and stuff, we love working with teams that like know the value of the home inspection, but also know that like there's going to be things in it. But I mean, when I first started, the first big team I ever did an inspection for, I was like, oh, I hope I don't find anything wrong. They're gonna be mad at me. And I found quite a few things wrong, right? And I talked to the agent. He's like, no, find as much as you possibly can. I want to take care of my client. We'll work through this stuff. I know what's big and what's not big. But there's some agents, like, they'll call you, and I mean, they probably call Morgan now, but I was like, why'd you put this in here? Why'd you put that in there? The teams, the professionals, I mean, you said there's agents out there that you think they're doing it all the time, but they're
Right.
not very professional. They'll call and be like, why is this in the report? I'm like,
Because it's on the house.
I want it in
Yeah,
there. Like,
yeah.
I want to trust you guys that you're going to only put the things in there that actually matter, and you're informing my client. Like, if I don't want to put somebody in that situation. If you've got an agent that's pushing you to take a bad inspection, you shouldn't be with that agent.
Yeah.
Seems very criminal.
Yeah, it does.
it's when you get 3 hours to go look at someone's house you've never been at before and try to tell them what's wrong with it, and there's certain things that are going on that could be a problem when you leave, and you get 3 hours to tell them all that and put it in a report, it's a lot of liability.
Yeah,
And so
absolutely.
you got to really know what you're doing. And if I wouldn't want your guys' job at all, because I think you guys are working nonstop every day, 7 days a week. We get to go home at night and maybe get some phone calls and not talk to the clients anymore. You guys are nonstop, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But as far as, the inspection,
Is that me?
that's me. Sorry.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
What was going on?
I forget what I was going to say. I went to edit that, where I was going. Remember what I was saying? My wife.
I got distracted when I saw my phone and missed 19
Yeah.
phone calls.
19. But no, going back to working with teams that are like really professional, they know, hey, this is part of the process. Because we get buyers, and you tell them that when they leave, they're just distraught. And it's like their agents will take care of them, as far as helping them through this.
Well, sometimes they're smacked in the face with a $500 bill on a home inspection or $700 into it, and they're like, yeah, this one's not going to work out. And they're distraught over the $500, and I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That $500 saved you from a $300,000 mistake. So to put it in perspective, I've had home inspectors that called me and they're like, well, I got some bad news. And I'm like, no. I needed my folks to hear that. There's many times where I try to tell people like, hey, this is kind of a disaster of a house, and they still want to write an offer on it. And they need to see the reality of a home inspection from a professional that also says, hey, this is a disaster of a house. So it's almost validating, and sometimes a big part of both of our jobs here is protecting people from themselves. They're paying you $500 to keep them from making a $300,000 mistake. So there's value in that for sure.
Yeah.
even if they do it 3 times.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had one person do 3 home inspections, and I've had one do 4 home inspections.
Yeah.
Sometimes we have, we'll explain some of the worst things we have is horizontal cracks, sewers collapse, something, and then the way they take it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it was like, that's not the reaction I was expecting. So.
But then they're worried about the cabinet door that's falling off.
Yeah. So having a good team behind them really like puts your mind at ease. Like, all right, at least I'll send the report off to your agent. They'll take care of you.
So we have a segment we do with all of our guests. It's called This or That. I'm just going to speed run through. You guys can give me your answers. And it's just could be anything. So coffee or energy drinks?
Coffee.
Oh, coffee.
Coffee, gotcha.
Oh, really? I figured the young dude would say energy drink.
That's still way you say I'm old.
I'm
probably
saying
right,
you're my
Carl.
age.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
I'm a little bit of both, so you can say both.
Yeah, depends on what day of the week it is.
Yeah. Texting or calling?
Calling.
Texting.
I think
I like calling.
Yeah.
I like this
There's
guy.
so many things that can happen.
It's quicker.
With a text that my dad calls me about. Just leave me. He calls me, leaves me a 10, 20-second message. You could have said a quick question. So
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I may rephrase that. If it's a situation we have a conversation about, call me. But if
Well-
it's a quick hey, when are you gonna be here? Just Don't call me and ask me that.
We have this same conversation all the time. Because
So, coming from corporate America before I was in real estate, you have meetings for the sake of meetings. And when we developed the team, I said we will never have meetings for the sake of meetings. And there's this ongoing joke in corporate America. That could have been an email.
Yeah.
So, like when you call somebody, I'm like, that could have been a text.
And I just don't get tone through text.
I don't either.
No.
He'll text me like, dude, why did you call this out? And I call him like, what's going on? What's wrong? He's like, no, I was just wondering why you called.
Yeah, I'm the same way because
What's up, man? How's it going?
like
I'm
I have to stop. I'm ADHD as I'll get out. So if I'm not focused on my, if I'm not focused on my task, I'm not doing it. So if I have to pull out my phone to type a text message, just switch is my whole train of thought. So just pick it up and call it while I'm doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
While I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
He says that, but he also calls me 840 times a day.
I hate him. Are you guys a stay in or go out type of guy?
Go out.
Go out. Yeah.
I like that answer. Movies or TV shows?
Neither.
Neither.
Movies for the same reason as calling over texting. Quicker. and-
Old houses or new builds?
New builds.
I like older houses.
I like that. You like the character?
You guys are
know?
opposite of what you're supposed to be, generational. Like, how far apart are you in age?
I'm 31.
20 years.
20, about 20.
Okay, yeah. You're completely.
This is actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
Live concert or sporting event?
Sporting event.
What kind of sporting event?
Your favorite sport? Football?
Bengals game, sporting event.
Gotcha.
It could be both. That's a tough one.
Are you a breakfast or dinner person?
Dinner.
Dinner, gotcha.
Ooh, breakfast for dinner, though.
I like that. I like that
Yes,
answer.
that's the best.
Dog or cats?
Dogs.
Dogs all day.
I'm super allergic to cats.
Yeah, I'm the same way. Are you guys like this is social media, Facebook or Instagram?
I don't have
Instagram.
That's awesome.
I don't have social media.
I love
You're
that.
31?
31. I just.
If I didn't have the job I had, I would.
Situation.
No.
Is she-
No, I just never have had like Snapchat, Instagram. Now I have a Facebook just because I got tired of people being like, "What? Where were you last weekend? I sent you the invite," and I'm like checking my text, like, "No, you didn't." And like it was on Facebook, so I got it for that reason. And
If I didn't do what I did, and if I wasn't helping out the team with social media, I wouldn't have social media. I don't really care what I was doing.
Gen
like,
Z is more. My daughter. It's Instagram.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So, Angela and I, we, as pre-50-year-old, we live on YouTube. You like that pre-50-year-old?
Thank you.
Smart.
Couple more months.
Surprisingly, we live on YouTube. We don't watch regular TV anymore. And years ago, one of my buddies from work, he got me hooked on this damn YouTube show called Hot Ones. You ever seen that?
Oh, the wing show.
Oh yeah, with the wings, and at the end of it, he kind of wraps up and says, "Tell me where you're at and where people can find you," and Hot Ones, where the wings are spicy and the questions are spicier. I don't know. I forget what it is.
Basically, what he's saying is, how can people get a hold of you?
How can people get in touch with you? Like we're on Hot Ones.
Oh, well, first our phone number, 513-831-1200. But I mean, I really think the social media, if you want to learn about who we are and see us, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, we're on all of them. And
Shout out to Morgan.
Yeah, actually another shout out, Inspect Horizon too. We just got this really cool chat feature. So sometimes it's AI, like if it's a quick question about scheduling or anything, we got some preloaded stuff in there. But Morgan has the ability to kind of hijack that and take it over. And she's my wife, so anytime I'm like, oh, this is a good thing to know. Like, was actually a fun. We were doing a house the other day that had a lot of fire damage, and we had the highest mold counts that I've ever seen in my life. And I was like, interesting.
From all the water,
from all the water, from the firefighters spraying it. So I told her, I was like, if anyone ever asks about, I'm doing a house that was in a fire, make sure they get a mold test too with it. So anytime I hear something,
that's a good tip.
I wouldn't even have thought of that, honestly.
So I feed all the stuff that I learned to her. That way she can just answer any question right there on the phone.
Yeah, that's
She's a rock star.
interesting.
and also this shout out to our whole team. But Allison, when she came on board, she's the reason our social media blew up.
Yeah.
I mean, the way she came in and then working with Trevor and Morgan, the three of them created this whole entire automation systems. And I think all of Allison's social media is all automated. Even though she's in Australia, she does an amazing job. And
She was so streamless to set this up today.
and she set this up today. So
she went to high school with our nerd.
yeah.
She was a little older than me, but yeah, she went to the same high school with us. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I mean, you can ask Trevor, she really holds us all accountable. Like, she's on top of things. It's like, oh, I got to do this because Allison will be on top of me. So she'll get all mad at me. So, yeah, she's been great about all this stuff, and our social media is blown up because of her. And Morgan and Trevor are really the main reasons. We're just a bunch of dumb home inspectors that go out there.
Right. Well, I thank you guys for coming out today.
Thanks for having us.
This definitely ended up being way more productive than I had anticipated. So,
What did you anticipate?
So I anticipated a bunch of boring home inspection talk, and
Honestly, a lot of like the loan officer we loved the loan officer we did it with Matt.
Oh, yeah.
But it was just dry, long educational content.
it's just a dry content.
But this one was
somebody
like
really
upbeat.
needs it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it helps too with home inspections because when we come in kind of like all cheery and clean and everything,
Yeah.
the buyers are like,
Right.
what you say?
Yeah, no,
Happy Monday.
Oh yeah, like
people need to hear it, but
Yeah.
nobody really cares until they absolutely need it. But like today was good. It was just back and forth banner.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Like yesterday, Trevor got done with Stewart Scope. The client's like, "How is he?" He's like, "Pretty shitty."
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that.
He's like, "I'm just kidding."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So you want to take us out here?
Yeah, like, subscribe. We'll be on YouTube. We are now on.
Smash that like button.
We're now on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Music. Well, we'll catch you next week.
Yep.
See ya.
Awesome. Hit us, Ange.
Sweet.